Namaskaram. Welcome to my channel, VPK Nutrition, Mind Body Healing with Pushpa. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the fifth limb of yoga, Pratyahara. That means withdrawing your mind and the senses away from the outside world and making that inward journey. And I'm going to be sharing some practical tips. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the fifth limb of yoga. We've already done the first four yamas, niyamas, asanas, and pranayama, and I will share the link in the description for you to go and watch later. Today's Pratyahara is the fifth limb of yoga and a kind of a very important step in order to make that inward journey to connect the lower self with the higher self. So what does the word Pratyahara, Sanskrit word, mean? Prati means away from, ahara means anything that is taken in through the five senses. So we're talking about, and again, we're talking about the five senses as a faculty of seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and also touching. So we're not talking about the actual organs of action like the eyes and ears and nose, which are called the karmendriyas, but we're talking about the jnanendriyas. Now again, the mind has to be connected to these senses in order for us to even perceive the outside world. So we're actually talking about withdrawing the senses from the outside world, but again, the mind should be withdrawn, not just the senses alone. So again, why is this very important to us? Now, we live in this modern world where we're always drawn to the outside world, where we have so much of social media and all kinds of attractions and stimulations from the external world, and our mind is automatically drawn to the outer world. So as we keep on exposing ourselves more and more to these kinds of things, it is very hard to make that inward journey. So those things serve as an obstacle for us to get into our inner self and experience that bliss that we have within us. And we always tend to attach a lot of our happiness and joy to the outside objects, that we forget that we are that joy and happiness. Now again, this is a very difficult concept for anybody even if you know it intellectually, to be able to actually achieve that is a very, very difficult thing to do. But once you get that feeling, or at least start moving in that direction, you are going to experience so much more happiness and contentment that you kind of don't expect a lot from the outside world. Now, I'm going to give you about 6 tips to practice to purify your mind and help you with this Pratyahara. And now I'm going to use my emoji to do that. Number 1, in the physical level, food plays a very important role in influencing our mind. So it controls the sattva, rajas, and tamas of the mind. So always pick sattvic foods made up of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, and also make sure you make them fresh and warm and well cooked so that you can digest them easily. On the other hand, avoid tamasic foods such as leftovers, foods that are very high in sugar and fat, fried foods, processed foods, and also very pungent foods like onions and garlic too often, and also very, very spicy foods with chilies and red chilies and green chilies. Now, I've shared a whole segment on tamasic foods, which I will share the link in this description. Number 2, practice pranayama on a regular basis. Like I mentioned in the last video on pranayama, Nadi Shodhana is the most effective one for all 3 doshas. It helps to conserve the prana that you have and also increase the prana within. Number 3, living consciously. Practice mindfulness and assess what kind of things that your senses are drawn to and your mind follows it. What kind of shows you watch. Is it violent? Do you listen to gossip? What kind of music you listen to? All of these things will give you a clue as to how your mind works. Number 4, pay attention to your thoughts arising in meditation. See what kind of likes, dislikes, and desires arise out of yourself from this conscious mind. This will give you a clue into what things you need to work on and how to remain in the present. Number 5, this is a very important one for today's modern technology world. Try to take one day a week or one day from time to time a break from social media like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, text, anything that distracts you from living in the present, and see how that feels. Because studies show that depression actually has increased quite a bit since social media came into being. Number 6, the last but not the least, is very important to allot some time for prayer and yoga every day. Remember, one of the niyamas was Ishvara Pranidhanam, submitting to a higher altar in order to humble ourselves. The more humble you get, the more happy you're going to be. You have to try it. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Just to give you a brief recap, number 1, remember, diet affects the mind just as much as anything else. So make sure you pick a sattvic diet, which is easily digestible and warm. Number 2, pranayama helps you conserve that prana within, the one that gets depleted by the external world. Number 3, mindfulness in whatever you are watching, hearing, etc. Number 4, pay attention to your thoughts while you sit in meditation and see what kinds of likes and dislikes are arising. Number 5, take a break from social media and WhatsApp and phone, all of these gadgets for at least one day a week and see how that feels. Number 6, again, allot some time for prayer and yoga every day. Submitting to that higher altar keeps you humble and happy. Thank you everyone for joining me. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please like it, subscribe, and share this video with others who might be benefited. Have a wonderful week ahead and see you next week.